Welcome back to Casuals Corner, and you're back with me, Will, in the shed, and today I'll be breaking down Khamzat Borz Chimaev v Li Jingliang, or otherwise known as The Leech. Now, if you don't know what Borz translates from, it's Russian and it translates into wolf. And if you've seen this boy fight, it's a very, very fitting name. And in some of his earlier fights, I even saw him howling at an opponent, and that's pretty terrifying, right? And he was standing over him, knocking him out. So a little bit more scarier. But anyway, before we jump into it, you know what to do. Hit the like, the subscribe, and the little bell icon if you enjoy the content. And if you don't know what we do, we bring you MMA from the UK, daily content on all our platforms, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, all that good stuff. So hit the little bell icon to stay up to date. Anyway, let's jump into it. So like I said, a lot of attention coming into Khamzat into this fight, and rightly so. He's currently sitting on a 9-0 win streak. His first fight in the UFC was against John Phillips, who he choked out. His second fight was against Rhys McKee, who he brutalised. This pains me to say as well as a British fan. And then he moves up to middleweight against Gerald Merschart, who, by the way, is the most decorated submission artist in middleweight history. Khamzat Chimaev has a very high wrestling and grappling pedigree, and he goes in and, if you don't know, buzzes him in 17 seconds, straight on the button, and flatlines him. So we've got a very tricky customer on our hands. On the other hand, again, we've got a grizzled vet in the game, 18-6 Li Jingliang, or The Leech. He's been about since the old shorts. If you've been about since the old shorts, you've seen some things in that cage. And like I said, he's a veteran of the game. He's seen those young up-and-comers before. And he's got some heavy hands of himself. We had his recent win coming over Ponzinibbio. He had a decision loss to Neil Magny. And he's got a very good win over Diego Lima on his card, which has aged pretty well. Anyway, if we have a look at their stats breakdown, Khamzat Chimaev comes into this as the taller fighter at 6'2", with a 75-inch reach, fighting out of the orthodox stance. Then on the other hand, with The Leech, comes in at quite a deficit actually, with a 71-inch reach and at 6 foot, which I personally think is going to play a bit of a factor. Now, if we have a look at their striking statistics, if we have a look at Chimaev first, we can see strikes landed per minute 9, striking accuracy 72%, absorbed per minute 0.1, so pretty much no punches, which is quite a terrifying fall. And then on the other hand, we have his grappling, which we know is a very exceptional caliber. He obviously has multiple medals from Sweden. He is a very dominant wrestler over there. He's got a takedown average of 4.6, accuracy 75%, and a submission average of 3. And then on the other hand, we've got The Leech. He's coming in as the shorter fighter. Output is quite good, 4.5. Strikes absorbed per minute is obviously a lot higher than Chimaev's is going to be. And then his grappling, his takedown defense is okay. He gets 1 takedown average, so it's not terrible, but we know that it probably isn't going to match up on the ground between them two. I think the best path to victory for The Leech is going to have to use that fight IQ, use that experience in the octagon, and really try and find an opportunity. The difficult thing is Khamzat Chimaev doesn't present a lot. That's why he's absorbed per minute is so little, and that's what makes him so dangerous, because he's a very efficient fighter. He's trimmed the fat completely off his game, and he very much is the fundamentals, and the fundamentals done very well. So he's going to have to bide his time. He's going to have to pick his shots. He's going to have to make sure he doesn't overexert, because if The Leech overexerts and at any points gets rushed and feels like he needs a knockout, then we're going to probably see that takedown, which takes us on to Khamzat Chimaev, obviously. Now, that's all well and good saying that about The Leech. Do I think that he can pull it off is a very, very different conversation, because like I said, we've got Chimaev. Now, you hear things, you hear whispers around the MMA community about this man, and I've watched a lot of content on him, and I've heard a lot of people very close to him speak about him, and he seems, and of what we've seen, he's an exceptional talent. Do not forget, those 3 fights he's had in the UFC came in 60 days in 2 weight classes. And he trains at All Stars Gym in Sweden. And I've heard from multiple sources that he ragdolls Gustafsson at light heavyweight, which it's not always good to play into too much locker room chat, because it doesn't mean a lot at the end of the day. It's what you do in the cage. But what I've seen in the cage from his early fights and in the UFC, and paired that to what I'm hearing, is a very, very special athlete. And this is why I think this is going to be such a problem for The Leech. If I'm going to see this going anyway, I genuinely do maybe see a first round stoppage for Chimaev. Like I said, he's very efficient with his hands. He picks his moments. And like I said, I think the Leech is going to overextend at some points. Whether that's going to be onto a single leg takedown from a kick, he catches a kick and takes him down, or whether he's just going to expose himself with a little bit of a loopy shot and he comes straight down the pipe like we saw against Merschart in his last fight. The COVID factor obviously plays into this, and if you don't know, he semi-retired at one point because he had COVID and he was very ill from it, and he didn't look like he was going to retire. A lot of people are going to question his gas tank and if he can go the full rounds and if he can be taken to those deep waters from a veteran. There's no question in my mind that he will be more than readily prepared. He's a phenomenal athlete, and the footage I've watched of him wrestling and striking, you can see he's just dominance. He's pure dominance and strength in every asset. Like I said, he ragdolls Gustafsson, who isn't walking into that gym at 205, and certainly not now. So we've got a very exciting prospect on our hands, and I genuinely think he's definitely in the conversation of one of the closest competitions to Usman. I genuinely think that. I think it's the conversation of not if he can beat the Leech. I think it's the conversation of if he can beat Usman. And I don't mean to completely look past Li Jingliang at all. I just mean that speaks to how highly I rate Chimaev. And here's a little hot take for you. Here's a very hot take, a very, very straight off the Bunsen burner take. I think he poses a threat to the middleweight division as well. I genuinely do. I think if he goes up, he has all the skills and all the abilities to really trouble that middleweight division. And there's not really a lot of people on that roster that put it together as well as he does in terms of that weight class, including Adesanya. He's got a deficit on the ground, and we've seen what Jan Blachowicz done to him. And I know the striking element is a different game, but it's very exciting, and this is why I'm so high on Khamzat. And like I said, I think he's going to buzz him in the first round, and I think that's how this is going to play out. I think he's going to pick his moments from the outside. He may play about with him from the outside for a little bit, but I think he's either going to shoot on a double very early on, or he's going to buzz him. And I'm going to go bold on this one. Why not? If I've spoken so highly of him, I'm going to go a first round knockout, and I'm going in a vicious fashion as well. And again, it's not to overlook Li Jingliang drastically. I just think it speaks to the level of what I think Chimaev's at personally. But anyway, in the comments, drop your thoughts, because I want to know what you have to say. Does he have a chance? Because there's another way of it playing out as well. And another way I can see is the Leech getting his neck wrapped. He's been susceptible to a rear naked choke, which is on his card, and I think the only time he's been stopped. A lot of it's gone to decisions, and that's what's making me think this one is not. He's got a rear naked choke loss on his card, like I said, and Chimaev wraps a neck. That man wraps necks and cashes checks. That should be tattooed onto his head. He is a savage. If you like him or not, if you like his personality or not, he does that. He's got a very good DAS. He's got a guillotine. He's got some rear naked chokes on his record. He snatches necks, and I think he's going to cash this check as well. So my money's going on that. Like I said, let me know what you think, and you know what to do. Hit the like, the subscribe, and the little bell icon to stay up to date with the content. And I really appreciate your engagement and helping me to grow the channel. So enjoy the fights. Take care. Peace.